Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here with the System Simplified podcast, where we interview top entrepreneurs, founders, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And this podcast is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group. At Business Success Consulting Group, we create custom processes and tailor-made business systems so businesses can thrive and grow. And today's guest is Robert Hartline. Hi, Robert.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You are very welcome. I'm so excited to talk to you today because, Robert, you are a serial entrepreneur. You don't just say you're a serial entrepreneur. You are. You have 3 companies. And you're a coach, you're an EOS implementer, because not only do you have 3 successful companies, you also help others implement EOS, which is the entrepreneurial operating system. So you help other entrepreneurs in how to run their business and how to scale, etc. So you also help others. And actually, all of your businesses are businesses that help others. So we're going to discuss it. We're going to talk about your different businesses, and we're going to talk about systems and systematizing and how that helped you achieve that dream. So, Robert, you live in Nashville with your wife and 2 kids. And you also, actually, maybe this is a 3rd one, because you also get a 4th adventure that you are involved in, which you actually get entrepreneurs to Costa Rica to learn more about being an entrepreneur and what they really want from life. So we have so much to talk about. But before that, let's give a big shout out to Jeremy Wise from Rise 25. Incredible person. And he's the one who connected us. So thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.
That's right. All right, Robert. So it sounds like almost like a legend. So let's just really break it down here into your different businesses. So the first one, I'm going to tell you. So just let's briefly explain about each one of the businesses so our listeners know what they are. So
I think it would help to kind of hear my story and how I got here, and I'll make it super fast and quick. And that is real simple. I started selling phones door to door in '93 when really nobody had a cell phone. Fast forward, I realized that I was good at door to door selling. I didn't like knocking on people's houses, so I like to go to business. And I started my first business in '98. I grew it. It was a chain of wireless retail stores. And right around 2015, I read the book Traction. I had 11 locations. I had about 10 million in revenue, but I wasn't making all that much money. There wasn't a lot of money at the end of the month. And I had been separated from my wife, and after reading the book Traction, I decided that I wanted to get engaged with not only living a better life and getting healthy, but I wanted to save my marriage, and I wanted to really turn things around. And so I got my coach to help me go through the implementation process of Traction. And the first thing you do is you come up with your vision. What do you want out of your business? And I decided there was 3 things. Number 1, I wanted to save my marriage. Number 2, I wanted to transfer my business from 10 million to nearly 100 million in sales. And then step 3, I wanted to move my whole family to Costa Rica. And that's where I wanted to run the company. And I would do that in less than 3 years by just following a process that wasn't easy, was very hard. And I made a ton of mistakes. I took that company, just like I said, 10 to nearly 100 million in sales. We had like 400 employees. I had 68 locations at our peak. And then when the pandemic hit, our brand, which was Sprint, was purchased by T-Mobile. And there's a whole nother show that we could just on that thing, and watching a business completely implode because lack of support from your partner. And we'll just leave it at that. But once I sold that business and kind of process things, I decided to get really involved with my app CallProof. It's an app I started 10 years ago to solve my own pain point with the sales organization. And it really revolved around, you hire salespeople, you train them, you spend a lot of time and love to help them be successful, and they leave the nest and they don't sell anything. And then you're micromanaging them, and then you're asking them all sorts of questions. You're bringing them to sales meetings. You're doing all these things that isn't helping them sell. And so I developed an app that automatically report their daily sales activities. So sales manager knows who to spend time with, who to remotivate, who to encourage and support and help them sell more. And that's what CallProof does. And we do that for field sales organizations throughout the US and Canada.
Wow. Okay. So that's the first. That's great. That's a definitely great explanation of how that business came about. So you don't have the wireless stores anymore.
No, I sold that business in 2020 in December. And I am no longer a phone sales guy.
All right. So 1993 to 2020, that's a long time. So then you have CallProof, then you have Shift Your Time. That's your next other business. So tell us about how that came about.
So Shift Your Time was an online course that I have done for a while. And basically, I learned through coaching and mentoring my staff. I mean, what I got out of leading a retail organization is I enjoyed coaching and helping my team build their sales goals and then talk about best practices, because it really is about best practices on how you do your sales process. And in retail, you had to have a process. And the way we communicated that process is I used an app called Marco Polo. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before.
Absolutely. Synchronic Communication. Yes, I like to use Voxer as well. It's very
similar.
Yes.
And so Shift Your Time is the idea of moving away from internal communication as Slack and texting and phone to moving your internal communication with asynchronous. When you share a video of the passion in your face and the way you communicate on an app like Marco Polo is a skill set that you kind of need to learn. You think about this. If you were an alien and were handed a phone, it would take you a while to effectively use that phone and start building the standards that we are accustomed to now. But it took decades and decades for these types of best practices to evolve. Asynchronous is the same thing. There's certain things you can do on a asynchronous video with the leadership team, with your sales people and or your employees, but there's also negative ways you can use it too. And that's what I talk about in an online course.
So this is online course that you yourself created.
Yes.
It's called Shift Your Time. Love it. That's awesome. Okay. And by the way, I did a whole podcast episode with Ari Meisel about asynchronic communication and how it helps. Yeah, I mean, Ari runs his whole consulting company with asynchronic communication. So
yes, it works.
Yeah. And then you have Hitch. So tell us about Hitch. That's the third company.
Yeah. So Hitch is a passion project that turned into something much bigger than I ever imagined. And basically, I had this idea that if you created incentive, people would make a decision to travel differently. If you were to take just simply 1,000 people and get them to ride with someone else to work, it's the equivalent of adding a lane on the interstate. And so what if we offered a bonus or a reward if they decided to take someone else to work? And so we work with government agencies and corporations who are looking to get their team to work, which is a big challenge right now. Number one, one of the challenges is the pressure for the pressure for organizations to deal with the added fuel costs that their employees are seeing. We have an easy to use tool that you put some money in a pot and they can use our app to log their commute and get paid back for that extra fuel expense. Or maybe they want to mentor someone to work and bring someone else in their community that doesn't have access to transit to ride with you to work and bring a new employee to work. 10% of the population that are able-bodied and could work can't, because they don't have a car and they don't have public transit. And so Hitch aims to solve that problem.
Fantastic. Okay, so that's number 3. Now, the retreats to Costa Rica, is that a 4th business?
That's just fun.
That's
just total fun. Yeah. I mean, Costa Rica has given me so much. It helped me understand what I wanted. There's the expat community is amazing. And there's just so many, honestly, there's just so much fun to be had there. And it's a great way to get you outside your comfort zone, see the beauty of the world that exists on our planet aside from work, and go experience that, and then make a commitment to what your vision's going to be. And that's what I do with 1 week a year. I bring some people in and we just have a great time. We share what our life story is going to be, and we make it happen in the next year with a plan.
Amazing. Well, Robert, I have to ask you this on the bio, on the background that you sent me. It says, meet shy, timid guy who accidentally turned into a salesperson, then business owner. So really, you were really shy and timid?
Yes. I have that is just me, but that was me. The 20-year-old me was that guy, shy. It's exactly the best way to describe him. But today I don't feel that way, because I feel like the number of people that I've knocked on people's doors and interrupted so many people and got so many no's, it doesn't matter anymore. I can talk to anybody. I'm not scared of anybody. And honestly, I don't care what business you're in. And this is why I'm in this business. You can change your income by finding someone in your neighborhood that buys your product and walking in. Too many people are doing this. They're trying to make a call. They're trying to email. They're trying to bug them through a LinkedIn notification. No, there's a business with a business owner with your need inside their office. And if you walk in and say hello, I noticed you got an issue with XYZ, or when you need me, this is what I do. I live down the street. I got passionate about creating your income by walking in and talking to strangers. So I'm not the shy guy anymore at all. I want to inspire others to be that bold, though, because that their income is a direct relation to the energy they have inside them.
Amen to that. Absolutely. And to the courage and the massive amount of action that they're willing to take, right?
Exactly. And I mean, we have all seen people in our circles. They are the want to be. You see them going to all the courses, all the classes, like waiting to take action, but they never do. Like, how much more learning do you need? Just do it. It's like a muscle that takes exercise. You got to do the reps. If you're going to increase your income, you got to do the reps. And find what is your thing and the way you can sell. And I don't care what it is, you can walk in off the street and get it sold.
Absolutely. What an amazing piece of advice. Absolutely. That was worth the whole podcast, but we have more. So I really want to dive into systems, right? Into the systems that are so successful for you in terms of the sales systems that you implemented in your store, in retail, but they can apply to anything. Anyone that has reps in the field that you want to stay in touch, that you want to run a process. Let's talk about that process, your sales process, and what did you find that is successful?
For me, I had to figure out a way to encompass my core values into how you greet a customer. And so I was in retail and I had a 5-step selling process. And the 5-step selling process was wrapped around my core values, which was I care, which is a country way of saying I care. And it was a feeling I was trying to create when a customer came in my store to show that I cared about him. Before I could talk about that, I'd have to make sure everyone understand what our core values were, which was integrity, care about the customer. That's the feeling I'm given when the customer comes in. I care about you. Accountability. Everyone's held accountable. Listen, if I hold you accountable and you make more money, are you going to be upset with me? I don't think you will. I will push you. I will hold you accountable. I'm telling you up front as an employee of mine, I will hold you accountable. Adaptability, we got to change. Things going to happen. They're going to tell us to sell one thing one day and one thing another day. And we got to let it brush off our shoulders when we go, oh, you keep changing things. It's just the nature of our beast, the nature of the business. Respect and excite. And so wrapping how to show someone how to greet someone was important to me. So when I say I care, if you walked into my store and you saw my employees sitting at a desk and looking at a computer, but they didn't give you any eye contact, do you think they care about you?
No.
No. It's a process. You have to stand and give eye contact. Even if I'm busy, I don't care how busy you are. When someone walks in the door, you stand, you look at them, maintain eye contact. Hey, I'm so sorry. We're busy right now, but my name is Robert. I'll be with you in just a moment. Okay. That face-to-face communication was the way I showed respect. It's the way I showed excitement, how I showed I cared. All of those things built that relationship with that customer that may walked in and saw a disengaged employee and thought to themselves, too many people, I'm out of here. They don't care about me, right? By saying that simple statement, I've automatically increased the potential wait time by at least 10 minutes.
For sure. And, Robert, I have to stop you right there because I think what you just said is so important that I want to emphasize that is, and I believe in it wholeheartedly, and we use that when we document processes and procedures for our clients, is that we do it with the core values in mind. Because when I document, when my team documents, when we work with the client on their processes and procedures, you cannot have a dry standard operating procedures bank style for a young hip company, right? I mean, it just doesn't work together. Or if you have a company that the number one priority is customer care, well, that voice, that care has to reflect in anything that you do. So you in the scripts that you write, in the way that you communicate to your team what needs to be done. So that point that you just made is super important and absolutely needs to be that is the key. If you have that, no matter how much you can have like the most amazing process, or you think it is, but it's dry and it's just like do step A, B, and C, but it doesn't align with who you are. It's not. What's the point of having it, right? So what you just said, spot on. So continue.
Yeah, totally. And it was important. So the way I onboarded a new hire was my process, and that involved a 90-minute how to win call. And the premise of the 90-minute how to win call is in my head when I designed it. This was my thought process. How in 90 minutes can I shake someone up to make them realize that the power of the way they learn how to sell, how they learn the craft of selling cell phones, can take them to the next level. And I got to sell cell phones from, it could be the chancellor of Vanderbilt University. We're around a lot of universities here. So really highfalutin person with a high, at the tippity top of his career. And I could have a homeless person too. Okay. And I can have the entire public, right? Every type of person has to come in and see me. If you can learn how to connect with anybody, if you could give them when the eye contact and the respect that they deserve, they will want to spend money with you. They will want to spend time with you. They will want to date you. They will want to loan you. They will be supportive of your life's journey. And nobody's talking about that to the employees. And so all these employees that are struggling, you know why they're struggling? No one is teaching them how to just live a professional life so they can grow. We should be going through steps. And you show employees the steps, and you reinforce that by having some good core values, helping them understand why the process exists, but why the process is for them, not for me, right? And understand in selling as a sales manager, I am a essentially a drug dealer. That's what I do. I dish out dopamine opportunities to people that want to win. And when you're selling and you are practicing the actual craft of selling, meaning you track every person that walks in the door, whether or not you sold them or not, because you're engaged with trying to maximize every opportunity to maximize your paycheck. And you're treating it like a science. Okay, this guy came in. I'm going to follow the steps. Do I stand and greet? Do I use their name in conversation? And that was huge. Getting their name in conversation. I would say, hey, welcome to Sprint. So glad to meet you. Again, my name is Robert. What was your name? And so when she says, my name's Mary. Hey, Mary, pleased to meet you. Thanks for coming in. Again, my name is Robert. Mary, what brought you in today? Mary, Mary, Mary. So anything around Mary, Mary's name is stated because that shows that I respect Mary. And Mary's thinking, oh, he knows my name. But I would teach people and my employees through that how to win call that these steps, name exchange, the greeting, the way you show sincerity to somebody, people go out of their way to spend more money with you if you're in sales, if you're likable. And people don't and have not been taught how to be likable.
But it's absolutely, but it's also making it so it's honest, right? So it's truthful. So it's not like they don't feel like you're faking it, like, that you just, I repeat the word Robert, every single sentence is a robot. It's kind of like, yes, Robert. Oh, that it just becomes annoying. You know what I mean?
And you're right. And for some people, there was that, and say, listen, you are not me. You have to be you with your customers in your own unique way. I don't care how you do it, but there's ways that can get someone to share their name with you. And there's ways that you can give them that you care. And a lot of it is just eye contact. And I'm telling you, most of the young have struggled with this eye contact thing. I'm looking at the camera as I say eye contact because it's a practice you have to get good at. And I noticed on Zoom, that's one strategy I had to do as well, is like, look at the camera, even though like your image is over here, I want to watch your face. But if I really want to connect with you, I can look at you.
Right. That's right. Okay, good. So we went through the greeting, the connection. What's the rest of the process?
So the rest of that process is uncovering what their needs are. Making sure, what are the things I did as part of the process. And retail is about building trust in a very short period of time. And you only have so much you can really spend with someone because you're really on their schedule. So a lot of it is just watching body language. One of the oldest thing, if you ever get a salesperson that lead you around the store, understand that's a trust exercise. So I may bring you from one place to another, and I may take you to a third location inside the store. I'm just moving you but by the act of having you trust me, follow me, it's a trust building exercise. So that was part of what we would do is I would show that. And then we make sure whatever they picked or whatever, we made sure they were comfortable with it. And then we made sure we did an exit conversation. And often that exit conversation, some people would really do this. I had one person that would do what I say. And one of the things I taught him to do is doing Facebook Lives at the end of a sale with the other person's phone. And the beauty of that, if you can get them to do it, so there was referral credits, they would do it for. So the customer did it for another reason, but I would teach them how to go live on Facebook. Because I'm like, listen, you can go live on their phone with their permission and talk to 1,000 people in the community that could likely come in. And this is how this one salesperson just got all of his business. But I watched him progress because this is how the progression was. Scared to do it, right? I got him to do one and he did another. And I will tell you, he did his Facebook Lives. His first 4 or 5 of them were awful. They were terrible, but he got better at it. He had energy about it. And then, he got people to share this video of him trying to get this, trying to get their friends and family to come in and buy wireless. And, but that,
that's an incredible, it's definitely the end of each sales process should be prospecting for referrals, but you did it in a whole different way, thinking outside the box of getting them basically to go on that person's cell phone and doing a Facebook Live right there, promoting the store. Amazing.
Yes. So
yeah, Robert. So let's get here. Let's look at what we have so far. Tip number one is you can sell to anyone. The people are sitting there in your neighborhood. I mean, if you obviously are a local business, but you can do it. You don't have to like rely on phone calls and LinkedIn and texting. You can just walk, hit the pavement, enter into offices, into businesses, and introduce yourself. Not too pushy, but just basically getting communication. And maybe you need me now, maybe later. Here's what I do. It's definitely something that is different, that is not being done a lot anymore. So that's a great advice. Just do it. Don't think too much. Go in there and do it. Don't get yourself prepared, but just go ahead and just do it.
Yes, do the reps.
Right. So that's one. Then you have to have a sales process. And the number one, in order to have a good process, is understand your core values and have the sales process basically run your core values, right? So it starts with how you treat your customers, how you care about them, how you greet them, get the connection. So we cover that. Obviously, you find their needs, you make sure that they get what they need, you watch their body language, you watch who they are. And at the end, ask for referrals and do it in a creative way. So that's your process. Amazing.
Absolutely.
So now, how does that translate to CallProof? So what's the connection?
Well, the connection's it's simple. So, your energy output should be in your CRM. So the calls that you're making, the appointments that you're booking, the emails you're doing, the face-to-face, all of that is trackable information to fill out a scorecard. So as you're going through your week, the app is pretty much logging most of this in an automated fashion. And so our app has 26 million businesses preloaded. So if you sold plumbing supplies to plumbers, you click plumbers near me, and it basically shows where they are. You use your finger, you circle them, and it'll make a quick route. So it tells you which plumbers to go visit. So if you were going to dominate,
it's for sales field people that actually going to walk and see people in person. So that's what it is. So let's say if I had, I don't know, a plumbing let's say a plumbing supply company, and I hired reps, like a business development person. So that business developer can use the app and find all the businesses around that they can actually go and make visits.
Yes. And so we have 26 million businesses sorted by SAC code, industry, employee size, and revenue size. We have that preloaded. So if you look through your customer list today and say, you know what, I do a lot of work with accountants and general contractors with 10 million in revenue and above, then you can go in there and select those and have those in your database. Or if you have a list of prospects you already have, you import into the database. You can click one button, it'll show you where they are. So when you're driving onto the north side of town, you can see what other businesses are around there. The emails we do, the little emails trying to get them to say something. It's amazing how much more you get out of an existing customer when you show up to their business and you say hello. And it doesn't have to be out of your way. I mean, what I have seen is sales organizations are telling me they're seeing 30% more people because they have a tool to use, and they have a tool to use to build their scorecard for their sales meetings. And so when they have a sales meeting, listen, the way you grow anybody's sales is you look at the numbers every week. I don't care what number you want to improve. You want to improve your weight? Look at a scale. If you want to improve your bank account, look at your bank account. Pay attention to that pay account. You'll stop spending as much money. If you want to keep your credit card number down, look at that number. So it's the focus and the awareness of the numbers on a weekly basis is how you improve on those things. And you got to collect the data. And if your company is a data-driven organization, they got to get a scorecard filled out every week. And that's how and why sales organizations hire us to collect that data. But this data is being used to identify the market and keep someone in front of that prospect.
Right. That's amazing. So that's basically what the app does that in terms of like you can find the businesses around you and then record the actual meetings. So then you can collect the data of how many meetings were done. And I would assume you can also use it for follow-up, because we know very well that just like it's very important to go and visit in person, but the follow-up is super important as well.
Yes,
right?
Yes. The follow-up is the only thing that works. If I take any organization, if I can get them to simply follow up, you're going to increase sales by 5 to 10% out the gate by doing that. And most just don't have an adequate system that's doing that. But when you start to look at your week over week performance on a scorecard and you're talking with the reps, there's a big debate in the sales world right now on displaying everyone's numbers on a screen, because people get really sensitive about their sales results, especially the people that aren't really winning. But my argument is you've hired the wrong people if they don't want to be. If they don't want to be on
think
there.
about it like in the NBA, if they did it, we're not going to really show your score because
exactly.
It's kind of like, I understand you are a player and you don't want to show the scores to everyone.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, here's the reality. If you and I went to a soccer game or insert whatever your special sport is, and we were watching a highly competitive game, and then the scoreboard went out and there was no reflection of the score, everyone would start to leave. Games in business is no fun unless you keep score. Mm-hmm. If you keep score, that gives you something to strive for. We as humans want to progress. We want to get better at what we do. We want to see that we're improving. But if you have no measurement stick, what am I doing here? I don't like this job. I don't feel I have a state of flow at work. I want to work somewhere else. But if you get people to find something they can, some nuance they can improve on and get better at, find value or some passion out of, if you can help them do that where they're growing and they have that sensation of progression, then you have an engaged workforce. And if you care about these numbers, if someone is not doing the numbers, you need to put someone in their spot or inspire them to get engaged.
Absolutely. It's all about the engagement and it's all about the measurement. So we talked about the app in terms of like the idea of finding the businesses you need to, so it basically helps in the business development, creating the scorecard and keeping track of those numbers. Let's go back to the follow-up. So how does it help in terms of doing follow-up?
So we use a function. So much like on Facebook, we could check into a restaurant. We have the same philosophy when it comes to checking into a pop-in visit. My purpose of a pop-in visit is find who the contact name is on the account, get their name added in CRM. So you go to our app, you hit the check-in button, so you don't have to enter the company name and address and phone number and website. We do that hard work by the simple check-in. But when you check out, we're documenting how long the visit was, and you're going to document what was talked about. Who did you talk to that is now in a contact? And then we have a follow-up procedure. So I can have it follow up. It automatically put it in my calendar as a reminder. It could do a pop-up. It can send you an email. It can add it to your task list. So, every week, anytime I walk in and I get a name, I don't care if that person never wants to buy from me again. I have an obligation to him to follow up. And that follow-up is an email. It's connecting with them LinkedIn. It's sending them a message. All of those things, including a text. So great to meet you again. I would love to be able to help you with your janitorial needs. Here's my phone number when you're ready, right? Email, same thing, subject line, janitorial services, right? Put what you do in the email, because you most likely handed out a card and you'll be lucky if they call you later. But if you have a digital representation of your visit on LinkedIn, on email, on their phone as a text, you're going to increase the likelihood of doing business, because that follow-up may happen next week. But now I've done that follow-up the next week. Now put it back in 30 days, 60, 90. Eventually, the opportunity will arise sometime. We hope we can do some business together.
100%. That's a great one. This is what you're describing right now. It's basically a unique, foolproof sales process that you don't hear being talked about very often.
Yeah. And we know we need to do it. We just don't put our energy in the right places. We get distracted. We let our busy get in the way of what's really important. And that is talking to strangers. If we are selling something, we must talk to strangers.
100%. 100%. Do you have a good process of, other than the Facebook Live, how you like to ask for referrals?
Well, you always ask for referrals during the honeymoon. Okay. Any new relationship, there's that honeymoon period. They think you're awesome. They felt trust with you. They gave you money. That's when you ask for referrals. Listen, I really appreciate the business. I know you know lots of people because you're a strong pillar in the business community. Who else could I have a conversation with that could help as well as I'm helping you? Ask for those. One thing you can also do, especially I've seen this work really well, is when you're doing Zoom calls, getting someone to go, hey, listen, you got a second? I wonder if you and I could help each other, right? I know you know people in my world you'd like to meet. I know I can see people in your world that I'd like to meet. Let's share our LinkedIn together. Like, let's put my LinkedIn on the screen and spend 30 minutes making intros, and you do 30 minutes making intros. Guess what we get? We get 30 minutes of dedicated referral building activity together.
Amazing.
Like the person you're selling to is trying to sell to someone else, right? I don't care how many times I've probably been in 15 different mastermind groups. And you know what we talk about in the mastermind group? How do you get business? How do you find the next customer? I'm struggling getting my sales up. It's always the conversation. Always. And that's probably one of the best practices that I see that works. You pick anybody in your circle. Say, listen, can we get on a Zoom and let's go in this referral blaster together. Let's leverage our networks together and see how many appointments we can generate together. And it's also a best practice for salespeople in non-competing industries where their list would work with their list, and like combining that. Oh, that's incredible.
So what would be an example? Let's take a look at two non-competing businesses that are complementing each other.
Oh, it could be, let's say you do equipment rentals for construction companies. Okay. And let's say you have your friend is a company that does all the safety equipment on a job site, the barriers, the fences, and that stuff. They're selling to the same audience, right? And so who do you know? Let's take a look at your best customers. And I say this is typical, right? 20% of your business comes from 80% of the customers. 80% of the business comes from 20% of the people, right? And so let's talk about those 20%, because they could be buying from you. We just have to figure this out. And I've seen it work over and over. And some people just, that's their business strategy. They seek out other industry folk and leverage their network instead.
Absolutely. I agree 100. Yeah, I have seen it happen. I mean, that's how I get business. And absolutely, it's like working with other trusted advisors that service the same industry that I do. But it also helps me because I can then be a resource for my clients, because my clients know that they can call me, or not just my clients, my network know that they can call me and say, Hadi, who do you know that does this? Or who do you know that does that? Or who do you know? And that connection is very important. That's how we do business. Absolutely. So Robert, you're such a wealth of information. So I have to ask you, we're talking about they discuss how to get business, how to get sales up. What about the gold mine, which is basically your existing customers, those that already bought from you, that already have that trust? what are the best ways of utilizing or leveraging your existing clients that live in your CRM, or should be anyway in your CRM?
Yeah, to get referrals.
Mm-hmm. Not referrals, or reactivate them to actually continue doing business with you.
Well, I'll tell you something I've done with clients that it's on the same track, a little bit different, that I love to do with people, is take a look at 2019 sales by customer. Okay. You got customer on the left, on the right, you just have value of their sale for that year. And I want you to compare that with 2021. I want you to take those two lists and sort those. You'll probably find a customer that was a very loyal customer, but you didn't realize he's not spending the money with you that he used to. That's either he seriously just doesn't need your service anymore, or it's a sign that the key contact got recruited to another company and the new person don't know who you are. And that is a very common situation in sales organizations throughout the country. So one best practice is to do that reporting system once a year, and it gives you an opportunity to take a temperature check. Did I lose a customer here? Do I need to revisit this account? Did my sales team not follow up? Did my sales team lose touch? Is there a pattern where this rep is turning my customers away? That happens all the time. And you may have a little employee grenade that wherever you put him, he blows up your customers, right? Because he's not friendly. He doesn't have core values adopted. He doesn't care. I mean, that's what it boils down to. All core values is uncovering what they care about.
For sure.
If they understand what they're supposed to care about. And if they're misaligned with that, then you know this if you're following a process where you're evaluating your employees based on your core values. That's critical to do. That's a process that most companies just don't do. And they really aren't doing now because they're afraid they can't lose anybody right now, right?
That is correct. But I heard three things here. So you wrap them into one. I got 3 for 1 here. So definitely the one, you do that report, and then you figure out maybe there was a rep that left the company, and that's why you don't know the new rep. So now you can definitely develop relationship with a new rep, but find the other rep that left the company and was an advocate for you, and you find them and then develop the relationship with the new company.
Yes.
And the third thing is that you really have to look like if there is a commonality in terms of maybe your own sales rep have changed, right? So then the new sales rep is just not working as well with that customer. So maybe that's why they stopped spending. So I think run the report and do a little bit of an investigation of where things are at, so you can actually find what the root cause is. That's amazing. Robert, I learned so much today in terms of like new tricks and tips on how to sell and but it's all under the umbrella of care about your customers, about your clients, and stay in communication. Go do something that is uncomfortable and actually get in communication. Talk to people, talk to strangers, talk to your existing customers, care about them, and you're going to be just fine.
You got it.
Awesome. So now our listeners would love to get in touch with you, they definitely can check. How can they find out more about the CallProof? Maybe they want to hear more about Hitch, shift your time, contact you. What's the best way to do that?
I'm super easy. I'm at robert@callproof.com. You can also get me on Twitter. Hartline Robert is my Twitter handle.
Awesome. Well, Robert, thank you so much for being a guest on this podcast. I'm sure I'm going to have you in future episodes because we have so much to talk about. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Awesome.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.